it's Vandiazel back again with another Card Fight Vanguard deck profiles. Hope you guys enjoy. Never to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon. And let's get this one started. Today, we have the Dragon Empire, Nirvana, slash Vairina, slash Vairina, whatever the hell you're going to call it, deck, post set 2. So, as you know, we're just going to get a bunch of overdress shit. That's all it is. That's pretty much what Nirvana is. It's just a support card for all of overdress, and why not do it? Because honestly, Urger is my favorite and it's also my main deck in Overdress, so why the hell not? Especially because we might be getting another Overdress type of deck later on. So let's go ahead and get this started. First up as our starter, we have Sunrise Egg, just a standard starter, 6k base, 5k shield, grade 0 with boost, auto if you win second, you draw a card. That's all it is, really. There's nothing really special about it besides the fact it has the Legion-ish art, but otherwise nothing special about it, but I like its art, so it's cool. Next up, we have our Overtrigger in Dragon Deity King of Resurgence, Dragveda. 5k base, 50k shield, grade 0 with boost. Overtrigger, you may only have one Overtrigger in your deck. When revealed as a trigger, remove that card. Draw a card, choose one of your units, and it gets plus 1 million for the turn. If revealed during a drag check, you get the additional effect as well, which is choose one of your vanguards and stand it. I said before in Eugene that this isn't necessarily the best Overtrigger because in Eugene, this would increases your chance of decking out. But in this deck, this is actually good because Nirvana has an on-attack skill that isn't once per turn, that is Counterblast 1, and this unit and all of your Overdress units get plus 10k power. So, combine this with that, granted one of them is getting a million, so the 10k doesn't matter to one of them anyways, but if you have a full front row of Overdress units and Nirvana, that means Nirvana's going to be swinging for 33 on its own. If you Persona Ride, then that's 43, and then any other Vairina on your field is either going to be swinging for 30 or 40 without their skills. So either way, this thing is a good overtrigger for this deck. On trigger-wise, we have 3 critical triggers in Blaze Maiden Zone A, 4 draw triggers in Blaze Staff Monk Chukosha, 4 front triggers in Blaze Maiden Parama, 4k base, 15k shield, grade 0. Front trigger, continuous guard circle. If your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, gets plus 5k shield, so the 20k guard, which is always helpful. And a heal trigger, Blaze Maiden Rona. And that's pretty much our trigger lineup. It goes 3 crit, 4 draw, 4 front, 4 heal, because you don't really need crits that much in this deck. The fronts are there, 1, because they're extra shield, but 2, just to push in more power if needed, especially if you don't have Overdress units, which is very doubtful. And then the draws are there, you know, to draw into your Overdress units. Next up, we have Trickstar, the main grade 0, and frankly, the main unit in general. I say even more than the Vairinas, honestly. 5k base, 5k shield, grade 0 with boost. Continuous rear, this unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effects. So pretty much it's immune to prison, it's immune to retiring effects. The only way to get rid of this is to either call over it or wait for them to overdress on it, and then you get rid of that by that means. Otherwise, this thing's kind of immortal. And you run this at 4. There's no other reason not to run it at 4. Some people have chosen to run this as their starter. I don't like running it as my starter. It's just, I'd rather have the chance of getting the draw than have this as my starter, even if it makes it slightly more consistent, especially considering the amount of times I draw fucking Trickstar on my hand. I don't need it as a starter if I keep drawing all of them in the beginning. But yeah. Also, the way I did these arts, for the record, I want to let it be known, the arts in here are the arts that I would use in the actual deck. Because I hate the DSR of this thing. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave it at that. Anyways, continuing on to the grade 1s. 3 copies of Stealth Dragon Togachirashi. Probably said that completely wrong. 7k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto, when it's discarded from your hand during your turn, you may put it into your soul. So, when you discard it for Ride Line, shove it to soul. When you discard it for Nirvana, shove it to soul. When you discard it for Valiente, shove it to soul. Pretty much half the things that you're going to be using in this half the things you're going to be using in the deck, you get to just shove it to soul for. So that's actually really helpful. Plus, Urger does cost soul. Even if it's the only card besides Reiyu that does cost soul, it's still helpful to have one that does that. So, really nice card, 3 copies. Next up, 3 copies of Blaze Maiden Mirin. I cannot talk today. 6k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Really nice art, by the way. Auto rear. When your unit with overdress ability attacks, put this to soul, choose one of your units with the overdress ability, and give it 5k to end of turn. Now, just as the ability, that doesn't mean it has to be in the overdress state. Why it wouldn't be in the overdress state is beyond me, but it still gets a 5k regardless, and that's really helpful just to give 5k to, especially because it's another way to get soul. Especially when you're trying to kill your opponent with Urger constantly because it keeps showing up in hand. Along with Trickstar. I'm not complaining about this, I'm just making a point. Either way, Mirin's just a really helpful card because even without that soul ability, it still gives something 5k, which forces out another 5k guard, which is helpful. So 3 copies. Next up, we have our standard PG and Twin Buckler Dragon. 6k base, grade 1 with boost, no shield technically speaking. Continuous Sentinel, you may only have up to 4 of them in the deck. Auto, when placed on guard, choose one of your units and it cannot be hit on the battle. If you have 2 or more hand cards, choose a card from hand and discard it. So if this and one other card is in your hand when you play this, then you don't have to discard. But if you have this and 2 other cards, then you do have to discard. Either way, that's really helpful because it can also just save you an extra guard for when you need it for like another attack if you're being rushed down. I cannot tell you how many times, like with the implement of these new PGs, how I've been saved for multiple rush attacks because I played it this way. So 4 copies of Twin Buckler because it's really helpful. And then last grade 1 is Blaze Maiden Rino, 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto, when it's rode upon by Blaze Maiden Reiyu, search your deck for up to 1 Trickstar, call it to rear and shuffle your deck. Continues Van to rear. During the battle that it attacked, this unit gets plus 2k. So it's a 10k swinger on Van, and when it rode upon, you get to search your main boy. And here's just a hint, call it to the back row. That's all I'm going to say, because they can't. The only way they can kill it when it's on its own is if they attack into it, and the only deck that can actually attack the back row at this moment, well, yeah, the only deck that can attack the back row at this moment is Diablos from Bruise and anything from Dragon Empire, because they have that one order that can attack the back row. Otherwise, they can't touch Trickstar, so just call it to back row. So Reno's just here for that Trickstar search, and that 10k swing is, I guess, okay. Next up, onto grade 2s, we have 2 Vairina. Yes, I run all the Vairinas. This is already clear. A lot of people would run arcs. I do run arcs in this build, but I just don't like arcs. I put Vairina here because it's a good card. 10k base, well, good cards, bit too far, but still. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept, the original boy. Overdress on Trickstar, like all of them are. You may place it on top of the specified unit instead of normal calling it to rear, and then it becomes the overdress state. Auto rear. When this unit in the overdress state attacks a vanguard, it gets plus 10 for the battle, and then you may soul blast 2 to choose a rear guard and retire it. So immediately, this is a 20k swing if it goes for vanguard. So already they have to be at 23k base for this not to hit. And you get to kill a rear guard when it attacks the vanguard if you soul blast 2. So another card that actually helps with soul blast, or sorry, another card that's soul blast, so there's a reason to run all these soul charging cards. It's a helpful card for getting rid of the field and a really big swinger. It's more useful than Arcs, who is an on place, and that's pretty much it. Now, here my only problem with this is like, also it's here because of the ride line. I don't know what I was going to say with this, but like, I run it just in case you need it, because Arcs doesn't feel like it gets the job done, and the ride line actually needs it or doesn't need it, but it wants it. So 2 copies, because it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. 3 copies of Vairina Arcs, my least favorite of all of them, or to an extent, like, tied for my least favorite, because I just don't like the on-place aspect of it. Grade 2, Intercept, 5k shield, 10k base, 3 copies. Overdress on Trickstar, as usual. I'm not going to go over this. All of them have it. Auto, when it's placed on rear, if it's an overdress, counterblast 1, draw 2, and it gets plus 5 until end of turn. I don't mind the plus 5 aspect. Actually, that's part of the reason why I hate it. I don't mind the draw 2 aspect is what I'm trying to get at, because the draw 2 is helpful. My only problem with this is that it's an on-place, and after that turn, it is absolutely useless unless you overdress it onto Vairina Valiente. If you do not have a Vairina Valiente, it is useless to you. Literally, there are granted, all the times I've had it, I've been able to overdress it the following turn, but still, I just hate the fact that it's a 10k vanilla afterwards, and then you have to rely on Nirvana to pump it up. It works for a grade 2 rush. I just hate that aspect of it. That's just a me personal thing, but yeah, because I know one day I'm going to run out of Valientes to call on it, and then it's going to be a useless 10k vanilla after that. Either way, it's a helpful card to just getting stuff out, so 3 copies despite the fact I hate looking at it. Then we have my favorite of the overdresses, 3 copies of Vairina Urger, 10k base, grade 2, intercept, 5k shield, overdress on Trickstar, not going to go over it again, auto hand, at the end of the battle that your Trickstar attacked a vanguard. If your vanguard is Chakrabarthi, Divine Dragon, Nirvana, soul blast 2, overdress it on a Trickstar on rear as stand, and countercharge 1. And then continuous rear guard or guard circle. If this unit's in overdress state, it gets plus 10k power and 10k shield active on your opponent's turn as well. So let's go over that one at a time. First off, it has a standard overdress ability, which is fine. But then the second ability, yes, Trickstar has to swing. And in this deck, that is only going to happen if you're in Persona Ride for it to actually hit the Vanguard. I mean, in my Vairina Urger specialized deck, the one that is meant to be used with Urger or nothing else, which I'm pretty sure doesn't even run Valiente if I remember correctly, then yeah, that's really easy to do for it to hit the Vanguard even without a boost. But now you kind of get the Persona right in with this deck. Either way, it can just poke, it doesn't really have to hit. You get the Overdress off, you get a counter charge off so you don't have to waste your, so you can get back the counter blast that you're going to use for a Nirvana skill. And, you know, it's now 20k base if it's in the Overdress state, and a 15k shield, which is really nice. I like that about this card. It's really nice playing with. If I could own this card in real life, I would, but I don't trust my luck with packs, and also this would break my wallet if I tried buying it on singles. So, unfortunately, this thing's just gonna have to stay between me and tabletop. Also, I just like its art. Either way, this thing's a really nice card playing, and I've loved using it the entire time I've had it, so 3 copies. And then our last grade 2 in the grade 2 of the ride line, Blaze Maiden Reiyu. 10k base, 5k show, grade 2 with intercept. Auto when it's rode upon by Chakrabarthi, Divine Dragon, Nirvana. Soul Blast 1, search your deck for up to 1 in Vairina, reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. It has to be the original one. It cannot be anything that has it in its name, which is why this is here, besides the fact I like it more than this. And then the other skill continues with rear. During the battle of the attack, it gets plus 2k. So a 12k swing. This is not like an ability I like about it. It's an okay ability at best. I mean, let me rephrase that. I like the grade 3 that they put in the trial deck for Dragon Empire. The 13k base, when it attacks, it gets plus 2. The 15k swinger, which is only useful if your opponent's at grade 2. So, yeah, I like that more than I like this. That's just a statement. So, 1 copy because it is required in the ride line, and that's pretty much it. This is my least favorite. I like Rino more than I like this, because you got like a full lineup of grade 2s. You don't really need this besides in the ride line, where if I had extra space, I would run Rino out more copies, because it's an extra booster. And then on grade 3s, we have 3 copies of Vairina Valiente. 13k base, grade 3, twin drive, Persona ride. I'm going to actually say this one, Overdress, Trickstar, or a grade 3 or less unit in the Overdress state. So it can be itself or literally anything else that has the Overdress ability and is in the state of it. Continuous rear guard. It gets plus 5k for each of this unit's original dresses. So pretty much what that means is if Vairina is overdressed on Trickstar and then you overdress it with Valiente, then that is plus 10 because those are 2 original dresses, so 23k base, basically. And that's pretty much the only way you're going to get it unless you stack more Valientes on top of each other, because unless they give us another card that can do that, then you can only get 5k per one because you already have to have it in the original state to overdress it. And then other ability, Auto Rear, once per turn. When the attack of this unit in the overdress state hits, counterblast 1, discard a card, stand it. Now, for love of God, I always forget that ability exists, and it's not because like my opponent always guards it, because every time I swing with Valiente, it's always game over for my opponent. Not because they don't have the capabilities to guard it. Actually, no, wait, yeah, they do never have the capabilities to guard, just because I keep rushing them down, and I use Valiente more of like bait. I remember back in set 1 where when I was playing against a Eugene deck, I would willingly sacrifice Valientes just because I hate Valiente that much and I would still win. But the point is that I would always somehow just win with Valiente because they never have enough guarding power, because I always wait till last minute to call it because I never like using this thing. I mean, I use it as a 23k swinger, but I would never use its ability for the sole reason that I don't like wasting counterblast, and I was fine with discarding hand cards. I just didn't want to waste counterblast. But Valiente, it's still cool. I like its art. That's all I can say about it. 3 copies. It's my least favorite of the group, besides Arcs. This and Arcs are tied for first place of who I hate most. And then on to our last normal unit and our what is supposed to be our main grade 3, but in all honesty, considering the entire deck focuses on the overdress ability, I debate if this was the main grade 3 despite the fact of how much I hate it. 4 copies of our ride line Vanguard boy, Chakrabarthi, Divine Dragon, Nirvana. 13k base, grade 3, twin drive, Persona ride. This is the DSR I like. I said it earlier that whatever arts I show, those are the arts I would use in the actual deck if I owned it in real life. This is the art I would own if it wouldn't break my wallet. Act Van. Once per turn, discard a card from hand. Choose a grade 0 from your drop and call it to rear. Okay, this is meant to call Trickstar. Like, it doesn't specify it, so you can call triggers or the starter if you want, which is what I did when I first started playing Overdress, and I still don't regret that decision. You just are meant to call Trickstar with it so you can overdress constantly, which is why some people did the ride line thing where Trickstar's the grade 0, because once you ride on Reiyu, once you ride on Nirvana from Reiyu will Soul Blast the Trickstar, get you a Vairina, use Vanguard skill, get that Trickstar back, and then you got a free Overdress out of it, but I don't like doing that at all. It's very annoying for me, and somewhat Patron ability, unfortunately, but still. And then Auto Van, when it attacks, counterblast 1, and this unit, and all of your units with the Overdress ability get plus 10 till end of turn. So once more, they don't have to be in the state. So if Bushy, for some reason, makes a card that just nullifies the Overdress state, like, pick up opponent's original Overdress and remove it. Why they would do that is beyond me. I would love to see the reason for that be unfolded, but until then, I don't think we're going to get one. But that is still good, because as long as they have the ability, they still get the plus 10, and this is an immediate 23k swinger, which is I like so much. And there's never been a turn, actually there has been a few turns where I've never used that, but still, it's a really helpful card. I like it. 4 copies. I wish this had more relevance in the deck. If they evolve it, I would appreciate it if they gave it more relevance, because right now it feels like all the Vairinas are the main cards. And then our last cards in the deck are 2 Burn Bright Pure Prayers, a Blitz Order, grade 2. If your damage zone has 3 or more cards in it, choose one of these and it gets plus 15 till battle. So pretty much if it's on Van, it's a 28k. That's the only time you ever use this. A lot of people say you don't need this. I would agree and disagree at the same time. Like, yeah, Urger's a 15k shield, but the difference between that and this is Urger has to be on rear, and they can just snipe it. I cannot tell you how many times Urger has just died because people kill it by effect without letting me get to intercept with it. Or the amount of times I've had to intercept with it because I know they're going to fucking kill it with an effect, so it's either take the attack or guard with something else, and then they just kill it anyways, or I take the smart route and I waste less guard out of it. So, yeah. I like to keep this in hand just in case, because they have yet to make discarding effects, thankfully. Until then, we are 50-50 on that. Also, I just like having the discard fodder besides little Dragon Boy over here. But yeah, if you really want to replace this with something, I say maybe put in 2 more Rinos, because I feel like the deck could just use easier rush power, because grade 1s are always so, like, meh in this deck. In my set 1 deck, I can always, like, do a grade 1 rush really early, and it's always helpful to set up with that. In this deck, you kind of can't do that. So, yeah. And that was the deck. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Fuck me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, down to the Patreon, join the Discord, follow the Twitch, which I will still start streaming to once I remember that I have a Twitch. Go check out Thera, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.